Today we have a wave of the vintage collection that's bearing the logo for the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary, and these characters are based off their appearance from the Clone Wars micro-series that came out in 2003 and 2005 from director Genndy Tartakovsky, who is probably most well known for his work with Samurai Jack, and most recently Primal and the Hotel Transylvania films. Now, the Micro series is one of my favorite Star Wars series, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on Disney Plus because they are exceptional. Beautifully animated, pretty good voice acting, and little short form stories, so they are well worth looking into. And originally, they were the lead up to right before the very moments of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I don't think it's considered canon anymore thanks to the other Star Wars Clone Wars show, but they're still worth watching and stand well on their own, so go check them out. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and check out these figures. Most of them are repaints of older figures that we already got. I do have a couple of the originals, so we can compare those and see if they're improvements or not. But let's dive in and take a look. And here we have the vintage collection wave of the Clone Wars micro series. Now, it's a pretty solid wave, but they aren't entirely without their faults. The weakest one is probably just this battle droid. He's got pretty good leg articulation, full knees, ankles, thighs. His hand and arm articulation leaves a little bit to be desired. Do a little finagling and bending. You can kind of get him to hold that blaster like he is supposed to in the movie. But otherwise, he's not quite there. It's not quite the definitive battle droid action figure that we are hoping for and need at this point, but he's still not terrible. I do like the color that he came in, and it was nice to finally get that shade. Now, the clone troopers are pretty much identical. They're just slightly repainted. I did find it weird that their faces do not match the actor who played them at all, and they look more closely to the Clone Wars CGI versions than they do to the live-action actor. Kind of weird. The clone captain is pretty close to his original. The skin tone is slightly different, and I think his reds are just a little bit more brighter. What's kind of a bummer is he doesn't come with his Phase 2 helmet and shoulder pauldron. It's kind of weird that he costs more now, but he comes with less. Also would have been nice to give the clone trooper a heavy blaster just to kind of make him a little bit different from the clone captain, especially since his card art has him holding one of those. Now, the 3 Jedi ladies aren't terrible. Barris, unfortunately, has this big plastic robe and hood that is probably removable if you really wanted to try. I didn't, because I didn't want to break or damage something. But it also kind of limits her posability because she can't bend knees or do anything because she's got this big cloak and robe holding her up. And Luminara has these kind of hard, puffy sleeves that if you do too high up with them, they rest on her headdress and her headdress pops up. And all 3 of them, unfortunately, I think their lightsabers are scaled just a little bit too big. They look a tad ridiculous holding these huge lightsabers in their hands. So I wish they had scaled them down a little bit to make them more manageable and easier for their hands to hold. Aayla Secura is probably the best ones out of the whole wave. She's got a cloth robe that is removable, so she's able to pose and move all around with it. Her facial sculpt, all 3 of their facial sculpts are really great. They definitely benefited from that new technology with the new paint and sculpts. They don't quite look like the actresses that portrayed them, but they still look realistic and have good faces. It's an impressive feat for this day and age, and it's definitely an improvement over the paint on the old ones. I think the good sculpts are still there, but the paint was definitely better. All 3 of them have slightly different colored robes and clothes to make them different from their original versions and to tie them in closer to the Micro Series colors that they had. Aayla Secura, as you can see, since they had the original, she's got a different colored robe, different colored clothes. She had dots on her Lexu in the original. She doesn't in this one. And her skin tone's a little different. I'm pretty happy we got them, and I'm honestly pretty satisfied with this wave despite its faults. So if you're a fan of the Micro Series, keep an eye on the website. If it's not in stock right now, it may be soon in the future. Alright, next time for my build video, I have the Series 2 of the Harry Potter blind bags. Pretty old, I know. Most of them aren't in store or were clearanced out quite a while ago. But there's just not much out right now that I want to do a build video for. So, I'll be doing the Harry Potter blind bags since I've been sitting on those for a while. And until then, stay safe, happy hunting.